We are still in spring break season where locals and tourists alike continue to flock to our beaches.
But a recent study suggests that Florida has some of the most dangerous ones.
The ocean rarely gives up its secrets, but this afternoon, it revealed something that changed everything. Florida's beaches are now closed, and divers are searching beneath the waves. Officials remain silent, refusing to explain what was found. Whatever it was, it clearly wasn't meant to surface. Now, following this eerie underwater discovery, the U.S. has shut down beaches across Florida, leaving the public with more questions and answers. The unexpected closures along Florida's coast. Something unusual is unfolding along the Florida coast, and it's more serious than it first appeared. The day started like any other warm Florida afternoon. Families settled in, kids rushed to the shoreline, and the mood was easy and relaxed. Then, without warning, something felt off. But before most beachgoers noticed anything was wrong, yellow caution tape had already gone up along fences in parts of Sarasota and Minnesota Key. Lifeguards quietly stepped back. Law enforcement vehicles have blocked access roads. The National Guard has set up cordons, and locals watch from a distance, wondering what lies beneath the waves. And before you know it, one of Florida's busiest beaches had gone oddly quiet. What started as a normal beach day was suddenly anything but. Whatever set this off was coming from deep underwater. About 3 miles off the coast, ocean sensors picked up a reading that didn't make sense. Most people don't even know these kinds of tools exist. They are monitors placed inside the ocean to track changes in sound, pressure, and magnetic shifts. On a normal day, they just pick up boat traffic or the usual ocean movement. But this time, something different showed up. The signal was clean and sharp. Not scattered like fish or cloudy like stirred-up sand. It looked too even and structured. Within hours, the news quietly made its way up the chain from marine researchers to coastal authorities. And the coastal authorities, not wanting to take any chances, decided to close down the beaches. What made it all feel so strange wasn't just how fast it happened. It was how quiet it was. No detailed statements, just a casual update about ongoing environmental monitoring and an increase in patrol boats along the coast. While officials remain tight-lipped about what's really happening, bits of information have started to slip through. According to reports, divers sent to survey the area may have encountered something no one expected, a massive, geometric object embedded in the ocean floor. It wasn't a sunken ship. It wasn't scattered debris. Witnesses described a smooth, metallic structure resting quietly beneath 30 feet of water. Meanwhile, it was a local fisherman who first sensed something was off. Their sonar screens began showing long, vertical shadows, shapes that moved too slowly and steadily to be fish or any known marine life. At first, some brushed it off as a mechanical glitch. But then their compasses started spinning uncontrollably, and key boat sensors began to fail whenever they approached the same stretch of ocean. That's when it became clear something strange was definitely lurking beneath the water. However, others were quick to point fingers at the recent hurricanes, Helen and Milton, which had already caused severe erosion along Minnesota Key Road. That area was still under repair. The ongoing sea turtle nesting season only made things more complicated, slowing down cleanup crews and limiting access to certain parts of the beach. It all sounded like a reasonable explanation. But then, blacked-out helicopters began circling the coast, and Navy patrol boats appeared just offshore. That level of response does not follow erosion. That is a kind of response that follows a discovery. And not just any discovery. Something big. Of course, this is not going to be the first time Florida is closing down its beaches. Locals still remember the summer of 2004, when 3 shark attacks within days forced authorities to shut down stretches of the Panhandle. And in 2020, during the height of the COVID lockdowns, helicopters hovered overhead, officers cleared out crowds, and news headlines spread within hours. But this time, it's different. No one is saying anything. They are just silent. What is even more unsettling was the location. Sarasota's waters are typically calm, known for soft sands and gentle tides. Not the kind of place that produces underwater quakes or volcanic shifts. Yet suddenly, dive zones were shut down. Fishermen pulled back, and word began to spread that multiple agencies, federal, military, even Homeland Security, had arrived under the radar. No press briefings, no confirmation, just lights over the waves at night and the quiet hum of surveillance. Whatever it was that moved out there wasn't just strange. Researchers reported their communications glitching when too close to the area. Instruments failed. Some said their encrypted systems reset on their own. Others claimed the strange energy could be felt underwater, almost rhythmic, like the pulse of something alive or designed. Whatever the reason, the waters remain off-limits. Tourists are being quietly turned away, and patrol boats still circle like they are watching for something. And if history tells us anything, Florida's coastlines have never been just about sand and sunshine. They've always carried hidden dangers, unexpected changes, and mysteries no one ever fully explained. Now, it feels like the pattern might be unfolding all over again. Florida's coast looks calm on the surface, but something deeper might be going on. What makes this shoreline so fragile, yet full of mystery? Florida's beaches, beauty, power, and complexity. Florida's beaches are truly a sight to behold. It's no surprise that millions of people flock there every year to soak it all in. The sand is soft and white, the ocean glows in calming shades of blue and green, and the skies feel endless. But there's more to these beaches than just sunshine and scenery. Beneath all the beauty lies something far more dynamic. The beaches aren't stagnant. They breathe, shift, and react to the forces around them. With every tide and every season, the coastline subtly changes. Something deeper might be going on. What makes this shoreline so fragile, yet full of mystery? Florida's beaches, beauty, power, and complexity. Florida's beaches are truly a sight to behold. It's no surprise that millions of people flock there every year to soak it all in. The sand is soft and white, the ocean glows in calming shades of blue and green, and the skies feel endless. But there's more to these beaches than just sunshine and scenery. Beneath all the beauty lies something far more dynamic. The beaches aren't stagnant. They breathe, shift, and react to the forces around them. With every tide and every season, the coastline subtly changes. Sometimes it reveals things no one expected. If you don't know, Florida has over 1,300 miles of coastline, making it the longest in the U.S. outside of Alaska. But it's not just the size that makes it special. It's the way the coastline behaves. The sand where people relax, sunbathe, and build castles doesn't stay in one place. The wind shifts it. The waves pull it away. The currents carry it farther down the shore. One strong storm can wipe out an entire beach overnight. Then, months later, that same sand might return somewhere else, as if the ocean quietly moved the pieces around like a game board. And here's where things get even more interesting. Beneath all the sand and sunshine, Florida rests on a foundation of ancient limestone, a soft, sponge-like rock that water has been quietly shaping for millions of years. It's riddled with sinkholes, hidden caves, and twisting underground rivers. Imagine the ground underneath like a giant piece of Swiss cheese. Rainwater and seawater slowly seep through, carving out tunnels and chambers that sometimes lead to sudden collapses or surprise flooding. It's beautiful, but it's also incredibly delicate. And it doesn't end there. Out in the open water, the Gulf Stream plays a huge role in keeping everything in motion. The powerful, warm ocean current flows past Florida's east coast like an invisible river, quietly shaping the entire region. It helps keep the state warm in the winter, fuels storms with energy, and even guides the movement of fish, turtles, and other marine life. But here's the thing, you can't really see it just by staring at the surface. The Gulf Stream is one of those hidden forces that silently drives change, even when no one's paying attention. Even with all this constant movement, Florida's marine life has learned how to adapt. Coral reefs off the coast grow like underwater cities, providing shelter for fish, sea turtles, and all kinds of marine creatures. Along the inlets, mangroves stretch their roots deep into the sand, shielding the land from erosion and offering safe hiding spots where baby fish can grow. In the warm coastal channels, manatees drift peacefully, while dolphins are often seen leaping through the waves just beyond the shoreline. The coast is full of life, some of it fragile, some incredibly resilient, but all of it moving in tune with the sea. This is exactly why scientists are constantly watching Florida's shoreline. From floating buoys and underwater drones to high-tech satellites and sonar systems, a network of tools is always collecting data. They monitor everything from ocean temperatures and salt levels to shifting seafloors and the habits of marine wildlife. Every slight change in the numbers can reveal a bigger story. Sometimes it's about climate change. Other times it points to pollution or stress in the coral reefs. For decades, researchers have tried to keep up with Florida's dynamic coastline. But even with all the equipment and experience, the ocean still has a way of catching them off guard. The area that's now closed off has always been a favorite for those who know the sea well. At night, the waters here sometimes shimmer with glowing plankton, tiny organisms that light up with every ripple and wave. It's the kind of place where divers go to witness active coral beds, pulsing with life. On certain days, the ocean itself seems to change in color, with temperature layers beneath the surface creating a visible difference. This mix of natural movement and fragile marine ecosystems makes the spot one of the most closely monitored along Florida's entire coast. So when something shifted, when the sensors picked up activity they couldn't immediately explain, officials didn't wait. They moved fast, not because they were scared, but because they've learned what hesitation can cost. In this part of the world, the line between beauty and danger can blur in seconds. Taking chances isn't worth it. Locals are used to change. Storms, tides, and even red water from algae blooms. But this time, there's no warning, no storm, just silence. A stretch of ocean is suddenly off limits. And in a place that depends on the sea, that silent shift feels deeper than any wave. But what if this isn't the first time Florida's waters have stirred quiet suspicion? Let's uncover decades of strange encounters, overlooked sightings, and eerie moments that never quite added up. Florida's history of coastal mysteries. Florida's coastline isn't just famous for its beauty. Over time, speculations have been growing about strange things people say they've seen out on the water. Long before any official statements or high-tech sensors, the area had a reputation built not on tourist brochures, but on stories passed around by locals, fishermen, divers, and even a few government workers. From the Gulf of Mexico to the Atlantic coast, Florida has experienced more than its share of odd events. Some were minor, like a compass that wouldn't settle. Others were harder to ignore, boats vanishing without a trace, strange glowing lights moving under the surface, and moments when equipment just stopped working without explanation. One of the most talked about pieces of this puzzle is the Bermuda Triangle. While its center stretches out toward the Atlantic, Florida sits right at its western edge. For decades, this region has sparked curiosity, from serious scientific research to wild late-night theories. Pilots and sailors have reported strange experiences near these waters, compasses spinning for no reason, planes disappearing in clear skies, and navigation systems suddenly going silent. Even back in the 1970s, the U.S. Navy documented unusual bursts of electromagnetic activity here, though no one could fully explain them. Some experts point to storm patterns or natural magnetic fields. Others aren't so sure, especially when the incidents keep adding up. What makes things even more fascinating is that many of Florida's strangest features are hiding just below the surface. Take the waters off the coast of Bimini, for example. That's where divers discovered a long stretch of flat stone blocks, almost too neatly aligned to be natural. The formation, known as the Bimini Road, has puzzled experts for decades. Some geologists say it's just a naturally formed limestone ridge, sculpted by erosion over time. But others aren't convinced. The straight edges and grid-like pattern have led some to wonder if it's part of something ancient, maybe even the ruins of a lost civilization swallowed by the sea. Adding to the mystery are the sinkholes and hidden caverns scattered across Florida, not just on land, but deep underwater too. While many people know Florida as a sinkhole capital above ground, what lies beneath the waves is just as surprising. Off the coast, divers have discovered strange vertical shafts known as blue holes. These deep underwater caverns drop hundreds of feet and often behave in ways that don't match typical ocean patterns. Inside, the water can shift suddenly, temperatures drop, oxygen levels change, and currents swirl in unexpected directions. Some divers even report feeling disoriented or unsettled, as if the space itself is alive and shifting around them. It's not your usual reef dive. It's something far more complex. Historical accounts from the mid-20th century only deepen the mystery. In 1958, a fishing crew near Tampa Bay reported seeing glowing orb beneath the water, drifting in slow, purposeful circles. Then, without warning, their radios went silent. That same day, their nets came up almost empty, a rare and unsettling outcome. Years later, in 1983, during a routine Navy sonar test in open waters, something strange happened. The equipment picked up a strong, Solid echo, something that looked like a large object just sitting on the ocean floor. But after a few seconds, the signal vanished. No official report followed, but parts of the sonar data quietly made their way through defense circles, sparking quiet conversations about what might be moving just off the Florida coast. With each of these examples, we can observe a pattern forming here. Beaches close for odd reasons, explanations remain unclear, and strange events come and go without answers. A man in Key Largo remembers one such moment from the late 1990s. Officials claimed the beach was closed for reef restoration, but no workers showed up and no construction ever began. Just taped notices at boat ramps and the silent sweep of patrol boats drifting by at night. Locals asked questions, hoping for clarity. None came. Many scientists now believe the anomaly might be part of a natural cycle that stays every few decades. Old research files list certain parts of the coast as data irregular zones, places where instruments glitch, go silent, or stop collecting reliable data. Over time, many of these zones disappeared from public maps and were monitored quietly, if at all. No one agrees on the cause. Some say it is geological. Others think it is environmental. But whatever it is, these areas seem to resist clear explanation. Today's technology allows us to map the ocean floor, track marine life, and predict water movement with stunning precision. But the deeper researchers dig, the more they find cracks in that confidence. Declassified reports, handwritten logbooks, and diver journals tell a different story. One filled with moments when the ocean did not behave as expected. Tools failed, currents reversed, shapes appeared on sonar, then vanished. These recent events might not be new at all. They could be echoes of patterns that were simply brushed aside, buried, or left out of official records. So is this just another geological shift? Or are we circling back to something older, something we never fully understood in the first place? Florida's coastline may look familiar, but some parts of it remain unreadable. The hidden dangers of an unwatched shoreline. The beach may look peaceful, but in this part of the world, peace doesn't mean safe. It means watching closely. Florida's coastlines, loved for their beauty and warm waves, have always asked for more than just admiration. The tides are always shifting. Beneath that postcard-perfect view, some dangers don't make a scene. They quietly take shape, often before anyone realizes something's wrong. Firstly, let's start with the most overlooked but most serious threat, saltwater intrusion. As sea levels rise a little more each year, saltwater slips into places it shouldn't be. It seeps into the freshwater aquifers that feed homes and farms, creeping further inland as the balance tips. Wells that once gave clean water starts tasting off. And without careful, constant tracking of tide levels and water quality, whole communities can find themselves without drinkable water. It's the kind of crisis you don't notice until it's already happened. Just as concerning as what lies beneath the ground itself. Much of Florida sits on limestone, a soft, sponge-like rock that gradually dissolves when water moves through it. That's what creates sinkholes. Most people know about the ones that open up on land, but fewer realize that similar collapses also happen underwater. These sunken spaces, often called blue holes, can quietly affect the coastline. They may weaken coral reefs, change the direction of currents, and even create invisible hazards for divers, sea life, and passing boats. When the water's natural balance is disturbed, the ground can shift, and sometimes no one realizes it until it's already too late. Another danger comes from something that looks almost too beautiful to be harmful, algal blooms. These outbreaks often start quietly, triggered by pollution from things like fertilizers, septic systems, or even sediment stirred up from the ocean floor. When that pollution mixes with warm, still water, it creates a perfect environment for toxic growth. One of the worst is the Florida red tide. Fish start washing up dead. The air becomes so sharp and bitter that people nearby can't breathe comfortably. Beaches close without warning, and in some cases, entire neighborhoods have to evacuate. Without regular satellite tracking and water testing, these blooms can spread fast, turning what looks like paradise into a place people have to flee. It didn't stop there. There's another risk no one sees coming: rip currents. These fast, narrow rivers of water pull swimmers away from shore before they even know what's happening. Normally, experts watch for the signs, shifting sandbars or changing pressure under the surface. But when those monitors go offline or something gets missed, a hidden current can become a sudden emergency. Florida's beaches welcome millions of visitors each year, and even a short break in coastal trekking can quickly turn into a tragedy. Not every threat comes from nature. Some of the most harmful forces are human, and they thrive when no one's paying attention. In places with little oversight, illegal coral harvesting, unapproved dredging, and poaching of endangered sea life have all taken place. In 2020, for instance, patrol boats near the Florida Keys caught vessels pulling protected coral straight from the ocean floor. These crimes often go unnoticed and are nearly impossible to reverse, and each one chips away at the coast's ability to handle rising seas, warming waters, and all the other stress that comes with climate change. What makes these threats so unsettling is how quietly they begin. They don't come crashing in. There's no alarm, no headline. It might start with a flickering sensor, a slight shift in the current, or a faint discoloration offshore. But once they begin, they spread. And often, no one realizes what's happening until it's too late. A beach that seems peaceful in the morning might be dangerous by sundown, or because something changed below the surface while no one was watching. That's what makes the recent underwater event so unsettling. Whatever the sensors picked up, it wasn't just a glitch. It was something real, something that slipped past unnoticed until it became too large to ignore. Whether it was a sudden shift in terrain, a collapse deep underwater, or the start of a chain reaction we don't fully understand, one thing is clear: coastal safety depends on constant attention. What we don't see can still change everything. But there's a reason to hope. In the past few years, Florida has strengthened its coastal monitoring network. More sonar buoys now line the waters. Drones glide quietly below the surface. Tide trackers and marine labs are slowly coming back to life. People are noticing more too: local volunteers, scientists, and curious beachgoers asking questions, spotting patterns, and speaking up. The technology is getting better. But more importantly, so is our instinct to care. Whatever was discovered out there wasn't just unusual. It could have been a rare natural shift, or something that forces us to rethink what we believe about the ocean. And if Florida, with all its resources and watchful eyes, still didn't see it coming, where else might something be quietly moving, just below the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy this video, please click on the next one on your screen.